Welcome, Mage. I'm Rhino, and today we're going to be talking about the recent Commander bans in Commander.
Okay. Yes, it is a very commandery thing for us to talk about. So, you saw our thumbnail. Who cares? Who cares?
I
Obviously,
honestly
there's people that
don't
care,
care. Yeah,
but really we want to give our perspective on this. And after we explain our perspective, we're going to give you probably three ways you should really react to these bans in Commander. Um, and what we want to do is we want to point out that there is a vocal minority in this. These are people that are very invested in Commander game. These are people that, like us, are content creators,
yes.
streamers, people
Mm-hmm.
who have invested money in cards to sell cards. Um, but really, we think that that is really small amount of people out of the entirety of the number of people playing Commander. In fact, it's probably less than 2%. So the other 98% probably don't even know. This is a week, almost a week after. They probably don't even know that the ban's kicked in. And we'll find out next week when we go to our Tuesday night Commander game. We have a lot of people that we play against that are they're just very new. They don't they're not invested in this. They do this for fun. And I dare say probably none of them know about this. So so let's start with us. Are we
Mm,
upset with
It's,
this?
no.
Okay, what do you got in your hand?
These are the um
Three.
three banned
Well,
cards.
there's a fourth one. We don't have Nadu,
Not
but almost everybody agrees Nadu should have been banned anyway. Uh,
yeah,
but we have several copies of all these, and to
yeah.
tell you the truth, it doesn't bother us, not one bit. Um, we had two decks out of our over 100 commander decks that had one had a mana crypt, one had a dockside in it. We took them out and swapped them. It's no big deal. Uh, not for us. So why are we different than all these other streamers and content creators? Well, one of the things we do is we push budget decks.
Budget text.
Okay. How much do our decks normally run?
Mm, Maybe $20.
Yeah, we'll shoot
Maybe.
for about $20. Sometimes we'll go upwards of 50, and a lot of times those are 12-cent cards. And so why do we play budget decks?
Um, we don't want to spend as much, but uh, we want to see what other cards it can do
Yeah.
and interact.
So currently there's a little over 28,000 different cards you can use in Commander, and 26,000 of those are around $2 or less. So I mean that's only 7% of the cards are above $2. So you can do a lot with those other cards. Yeah, some of them are obviously dud cards. Yeah, but we found some cards that it's like, well, hey, this wouldn't can't play this in anything else, and we come up with a deck for it. So that's really neat to do. Uh, Now, in our games, we've run across some people who have played Dockside Extortionist, Mana Crypt. Um, I don't think we've ever had anybody who ever played a um, Jeweled Lotus. And we play a lot of command,
Oh man,
yeah.
a lot of
But
games.
but remember that's one card out of the 99, and so
Yeah,
in most games, that's what, about 17% of the time that card might come up. So, um,
yeah, you can tutor for it, but still.
yeah. So we had a game with a Dockside Extortionist that came out on turn two. Yeah, nothing really happened.
Yeah.
Uh, and there was one game, and this is games that people played against us. Um, and Mana Crypt, let's see, there was one guy that played a Mana Crypt, and we just slowly watched him kill himself due to the
Pretty
illusion.
much following the sword.
Yeah, he kept losing 3 life every upkeep. Uh, and yes, you start out with a lot of life in Commander, but you know it builds up, and an extra 3 life, and an extra 3 life, and an extra 3 life, and you're dead. Uh, so we haven't seen these cards really impact our our play groups. And our play groups, keep in mind, we used to travel a lot to all up and down the east coast of the United States, and played at
People,
uh, different
decks.
command zones and all that, and it just hasn't come up that much. Yeah, so I'm sure there are groups out there where those cards are played a lot, and those people are really well invested in Commander, but we are more invested in the other 98% of the people, and those are budget decks. Those are people who play slightly altered precons, people who don't know how their decks work. um, so that's our big perspective is, we feel as though that we're in that group that isn't really paying attention. Is this going to be a hit to LGSs? Well, some maybe. But when we looked on the day of the bans and recently to see if our local game store had any of these cards in stock, zero. So they're not losing anything on that. Generally, they will buy stuff, and when they buy it, they turn it around very, very quickly. So I don't think that's a problem. Now, something that people ought to realize is there a possibility for cards to be unbanned?
Yes.
Now, most definitely, because when Iona was banned, Painter Servant was unbanned. Was Painter Servant? Yeah.
Um,
There are cards of some get banned for
that's-
major reasons, and then others they get
yeah.
unbanned. Um,
Yeah. I don't know. When I was playing Galta,
yeah, mono green deck.
mono green,
So Iona would just completely shut down.
shut down an entire deck.
Yeah, and you just basically sat there and couldn't play. Um,
I was like, okay, that's
yeah,
cool.
I'm going to draw a card, discard a card, pass turn. And so we felt as though Iona being banned was probably a good thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when Hull Breacher was banned, 2 days later, we finally got our 3 copies of Hull Breacher. Um, and it really didn't bother us. Yeah, we just go on from there. Yeah, yeah, it's just one of those things that you have to bounce back and forth from this stuff. So we did have extreme reactions at our LGS from the announcement of the bans. One guy just decided he hates Wizards of the Coast now, and he's selling off all of his cards, even though Wizards of the Coast didn't do the banning. He doesn't understand that, but he wasn't a very good person to play against anyway. So,
Yeah.
um, and we also had another person that found out, okay, Mana Crypt's banned. Why not Soul Ring? Why not Soul Ring? And he just kept harping on, well, Soul Ring's the same thing.
Okay. If it's banned, then it would be named
Mana
Manuscript.
Crypt. Yeah, because he said it's the same thing. It's like if it's the same thing, it would be called Mana Crypt.
Manuscript.
It's called Soul Ring because it's different. And we get at Soul Rings, what, 70 cents a piece about whenever a new set comes out. Generally, the Soul Rings in that set are less expensive than uh, the previous ones. And so we'll go on Card Sphere and we'll put up a bid of like 70 cents uh, for for those Soul Rings, and we'll get in 4 or 5 of them, and so we have a reasonable pile of Soul Rings, and we put them in decks that we give out to new players. Uh, it's not overly expensive for us and our patrons who continually help the channel out. Some of the money goes to that. In fact, a good chunk of the money goes to us helping new players play, even though we don't really tout it a lot. That's the focus of our channel. We want people to come in, see how easy it is, see how fun it is, and how inexpensive it can be. And we'll help people out. In fact, we're building a couple of decks right now for some new players. And, one next Tuesday, we'll be presenting him with a good chunk of his new deck. And we'll ask him, hey, did you hear about the bans? And he'll go, what bans? Because he's not paying attention to that.
Yeah.
So, Soul Ring being banned because Mana Crypt is banned it's the wrong discussion to have. So, we're now down to how should you react to these bans? Well, the first thing is,
Just deal with it.
yeah, deal with it, ignore it. I
Ignore it.
take it as a suggestion. Your play group, you can go and most people will be playing at an LGS, and you just go in and say, hey, we don't mind the bands coming in, but give us a few weeks, give us a month, because it takes some time to figure out, okay, how am I going to change this deck out, especially if you feel as though that Mana Crypt or that Dockside Extortionist was the very crux of your deck. If that was the way that deck worked, um, you know, just don't change over to it that quickly. Another thing you can do is create your own ban list. And we were in a store that had their own ban list. Now you don't have to put everything that's on the Commander ban list on that ban list, because things like the conspiracy cards, cards that have anti in it, and stuff like that, you don't need to put that because nobody's going to play it anyway. It ain't going to work. Um, you're not going to use a dead, um, game mechanic in Commander. Um, so, create your own ban list. And the other thing, the thing that we do is with the decks.
We give we do a price limit.
Yeah. So we have a commander league, and a lot of times in that commander league, we set a hard limit of $100. Sometimes we might go to 200, but really, we set it as an anything goes, but keep your deck under that amount. And we have everybody load up their decks into Arcadeck, and it has a good calculator there. We don't care what printing it is. Pick the cheapest printing, even if you've got the super expensive foil of it, etched foil of this, which is now, $50, and the original card is 12 cents. Pick the 12 cent because that's what it's worth. We look at the card values based off of what's the cheapest, and that allows you to really get into learning your deck, having fun with your deck, and just going for interaction.
Yeah.
Okay, so those were our three ways that you should react, but we got another one. Okay, and it's the rule zero discussion. Now, a lot of people do not know how to do the rule zero discussion. The Commander Rules Committee is going to come out with a suggestion, and they're going to deal with Wizards of the Coast. And a lot of times they come out with, what is the power level? What's this power level? That power level. Everybody's power level is different. Okay.
Yeah.
I can have a 12-cent card that can just blow things away in the right deck. So you never talk about power level. What you talk about is, what does the deck do and how should it win? Okay. Now, if it has multiple ways of winning, state it. I mean, it should not be, well, I'm going to hide this. You're going to have to figure it out. If you want to do that, I'm not going to play, because, what I want to do is I want to create a fun game for all of us. Rhino wants a fun game for all of us.
Yes.
Last Tuesday, we were in a game where we had a new player there that just could not get any land out. And we'd held back just to the point where they could actually do something. Yes, it was something against me. Fine. I don't care. I had 17 land out. They had 3.
Yeah.
So I had no problem recovering from that. So we want people to have fun when they're playing. And so we ask them, hey, what's your deck? How does it work? How do you expect to win? And then we pick other decks that we have to kind of match that. And no, I did not pull out the Slivers deck, and Rhino did not get the Galta deck. And we did not pull out our powerful decks. Because we're not in it to win it, we're in it to play it. We want to play.
Yeah.
We want to have fun. We want to talk to them. We want to interact. We want to learn more about you. We want you to have fun too. And then when they lose or when they win, I want them to enjoy it. And truly come back with, oh yeah, that was a fun game. I got to do something.
I got to do the thing.
Yeah, I got to do the thing. So, one thing we want you to do is comment down below. What should you comment? Do you care about the bans? Are any of your decks affected by this? We had 2 out of 120. We didn't say 120 decks. We had 2 decks that were affected by it, and we changed those up in the matter of 3 minutes. Those cards were not integral to our decks, and we never put Jewel Lotus in any deck because we just didn't like the mechanic. It didn't feel good. It doesn't really create a repeatable play experience. So
yeah. It's like a card.
Yeah. It's a great card in certain decks, not in ours. So comment. Do you really care? Have they affected your decks? And if you got any questions for us, put them down below. Yeah, we'd like to know.
Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I have more videos coming out soon. So until then, Rhino